646 call. I think this is Sean. Is this you?
Yeah, hi, it's Sean.
Sean is Jamie's husband. Welcome to the program, Sean. Sorry for your loss. I hope you're doing okay. As we mentioned on the program last week, Sean lost his brother, Jamie, her brother-in-law, last week. And I know you wanted to just add a couple of things.
Yeah, that's right. First I'd like to start by thanking you and thanking Michael and Matt and everybody for being so supportive, and also obviously your supporters and followers as well, because everybody's been really, really wonderful, sending their condolences in regards. And I would have called last Friday, but I wasn't exactly in a state to speak. So my lovely partner, Jamie, I think spoke very eloquently about the way in which this personal loss of ours is also a political issue as well. I think she touched very well on how the healthcare system fails so many people in this country, and how he's just one more example of somebody that fell through the cracks. So the one thing that I wanted to add is I think something that's somewhat tied to what the talks that you've been having today about these further attacks on the working class, as you've been talking about, and also the last caller Josh has with this horrendous tax bill. I think so. The other thing that I would add too is that my brother was fortunate before he passed, and he worked very hard to do this, but he was fortunate to become a member of my trade union. I'm in a New York City building trades union, 1556 dock builders. Do heavy construction around the city, and Justin managed to make it into the brotherhood and sisterhood before he passed. But I think in a larger political way too, when we look across this country and we see what this one-sided class war has done to the people of this country, to the vast majority of the people of this country, when we see the isolation that neoliberal ideology and politics and economics creates, and especially when we see the destruction of very important working class institutions like unions, I think we see a way in which society is fraying, and the working class, whether that's white, black, Latino, man, woman, is in real crisis right now. And I wanted to say that personally, the support that we've gotten from the union has been incredible. I had high up executives from our local come. I had brothers and sisters come, and it was a really wonderful thing. And I just I think back over the last 30, 40 years of capital and the state destroying these institutions, these strong working class institutions, where people could have a community of work, but also a community of solidarity that could help them through things like addiction, through mental health problems. And I think a lot of this opiate crisis we've seen, the suicide crisis, which we've seen, and obviously our family has felt, a lot of that, lays at the hand of capitalism and at the state for destroying a lot of the very strong communities of solidarity that we had. And a lot of people talk about unions just as though they're collective bargaining institutions, but they're more than that. They're ways for people to connect and to be together. And in addition to the love and support from all of you and from family and friends that also came from the union. And that's something our family is going to carry forward. And I would just say, that's a very political thing. If we're going to fight and we're going to help the people of this country to get better mentally, physically, and economically, we got to have a real fight back, and we got to bring our unions back, and we have to fight as a class. And Justin would have wanted that, and I think that is one direction that we need to go
Sean, thank you. That was it was really well said. And again, our hearts go out to you and your family over your loss. And I appreciate you're sharing that with us and contextualizing it in the context of in the way that we're talking about it, and because I think what your family is going through, they're projected to be 50 some odd thousand opioid overdoses deaths in the coming year, and I don't know how many suicides will be associated with that or with other addictions, but it's
Right.
it's a huge problem, and yeah. I mean, I really do appreciate you putting into some type of context for us, and
Well, thank you so much for taking the call.
all right, hang in there.
Okay, thanks.
Bye,
Thanks,
babe.
everybody. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye, babe.
I would also like to add that unions can play an important part in building class power. They were part of how they even got socialized medicine in Europe, back when unions had so much power that they could advocate for people who weren't even in them.
I mean, we're on the precipice of a massive blow to unions. I mean, if we covered it quite a bit when the case was Friedrich's, prior to Antonin Scalia dying 2 years ago, I guess now, or maybe this was in 2016, and maybe the beginning of 2016 he died. Wasn't 2016?
The campaign was definitely going on.
And we now have this Janus case, which, for all intents and purposes, will end up doing the same thing. This is a case where public sector unions, who you're not forced to join the union, but when it's a closed shop, because if you are a municipality or a county or a state and you're negotiating with tens of thousands of workers, let's say sanitation workers or parks workers or whatever it is, teachers, you want to negotiate. You want to do the negotiation once. There's an advantage. It's helpful for management to have a union in some respects, at least from a perspective when you have this many employees, because you only have to negotiate once. And so that's what a closed shop is. And as of now, you are not required to join the union, but you're getting a material benefit from their negotiations on your behalf. And so a smaller amount of money is required, an agency fee, so that the lawyers, the infrastructure that works to get you more money and better working conditions and safer working conditions, even if you're not a member of the union, you pay that. Well, this case Janus, on free speech grounds, I believe, is being argued that this is an infringement on this person's free speech grounds and that they don't, an agency fee won't be required. Everyone anticipated under under Scalia's, when he was alive, that Friedrichs would be found in favor of that notion that they don't that a worker in a union shop does not need to pay agency fees. He died, and seemingly at that time saving public sector unions, but apparently it was a more limited reprieve, because unless something like that happens again, frankly, Janus is going to be decided in June, probably June of next year, of 2018, and it's going to cause a great problem for unions. And I'm not sure exactly, there are people right now hopefully trying to figure out how they're going to deal with it. But certainly the value of unions is not limited to their collective bargaining, as Sean was telling us. And so I think to a certain extent, the benefits and the less tangible benefits and value that Sean was talking about are going to be things that I would imagine union leaders right now are focusing on. And you're going to see a lot more social movement, unionism going forward, because solidarity is going to have to be built across not just those people in your shop, but across communities. And that means, social both in terms of like, sort of the political type social, but also social in terms of like, the support that you provide for other people being around you. Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos